My Call to the Ministry, a letter from Worth Watts, Sr., dated September 30th, 1964. I was blessed with Christian parents who taught me to attend Sunday school and church regularly. After my marriage, I gradually became more interested in church work and in serving the Lord Jesus in any way that was open to me. It has been my privilege to teach Sunday school to all ages, from juniors up through adults. During the construction of the education building at my home church, I served as vice chairman of the building committee. As an elder for several years in office, I also served as chairman of the Christian Education Committee. These duties are not mentioned in a boastful way, only because I believe they laid the foundation for my hearing God's call. Perhaps He had been calling for a long time, and I had just not been quite close enough to hear Him clearly. For many years, I had felt that serving God and His church was a joy and a privilege. However, I never considered myself worthy of being chosen by Him to serve as one of His ministers on a full-time basis. In spite of my feeling of unworthiness, in the summer of 1961, I began to feel that God was calling me to do more than I was doing. Although I wanted to accept God's call, I resisted because, in my circumstances, a theological education for me seemed impossible. I should have known that with God, nothing is impossible. I had no college education, and my high school education had only barely met the requirements for graduation. I had what in this day and time was considered a large family: a daughter 15, a son 12, a daughter 10, and we were expecting our fourth child. It had been 15 years since I was in school, and the prospect of beginning to study again was a bit frightening. There was the additional problem of supporting my family and going to school at the same time. However, try as I might, I could not convince God that these were insurmountable obstacles. He kept right on calling, and finally I was compelled to answer. In July of 1962, I accepted His call and agreed that I would do all that I could if He would help me. Many times since then, I have gone back to Him with this agreement. He has never failed to supply sufficient help, though this help has only come after I have really done all that I could. I enrolled in Guilford College, where I was able to take several classes and continue my work for the U.S. Post Office, where I have been employed for 15 years. After 2 years, taking the courses recommended by Columbia Seminary as the ones most necessary, I was accepted as a special student at the seminary. Now, without the bachelor's degree of a full-time college graduate, I can still take the regular seminary course of study. Upon graduation from seminary, I will not receive the Master of Divinity degree, which I will have earned, until I go back to college and complete the work for a bachelor's degree. I will still be qualified to become an ordained minister. I believe that will be sufficient for me to serve God in whatever capacity He may have for me. I know that He is very near to me and my family here at seminary. To move from the community where we had lived for 35 years into a small apartment in new surroundings and among only strangers was not easy. To give up a job with security for the future and face 3 years in school with no prospect of income was not easy. I know we have not been promised an easy way. Perhaps this is God's way of reminding us that death on the cross was not easy for Christ either. Knowing this and accepting God's promises, I look forward to my theological education and to the future as His minister. I feel that to enter the gospel ministry, one must definitely feel that God has called him. I thank God that I was close enough to hear. I believe there should be a complete surrender of the will to God. There should be a devotion that is able and willing to shoulder burdens, and a realization that whatever the burden may be, God will always be there to help carry it. I pray that I may have such a devotion to God and to His ministry.